They say age is just a number. But if you're over 40 and still training like you did in your 20s, that number is about to catch up with you. Fast. Not in your chest, not in your legs, but right where it hurts most. Your elbows. Most people don't realize this, but elbow injuries in lifters over 40 have skyrocketed in the past decade. We're talking sharp, nagging pain that sneaks up on you. At first, it's just a weird pinch mid-rep. Then it becomes a constant reminder every time you push, pull, or even straighten your arm. And the worst part? It doesn't come from bad form. It comes from exercises that were never meant for aging joints in the first place. Here's the irony. The triceps make up nearly 2/3 of your upper arm mass. It's the muscle that gives your arms that thick, powerful look. It's what fills out your sleeves and adds real shape to your physique. But the same exercises people use to build them are the ones doing the most damage, especially once you're past the big 4-0. You can blame outdated programs, cookie-cutter gym plans, trainers who hand you a one-size-fits-all routine that doesn't account for the wear and tear that accumulates with time. You can be doing everything right on paper and still be setting yourself up for months of pain. Or worse, time off training you never planned for. And let's be honest, no one wants to be the guy who has to skip arm day because he can't even hold a dumbbell without wincing. No one wants to feel betrayed by their own body. You train to feel strong, not fragile. You train to push back against age, not feel the consequences of it in every joint. But here's the good news. This isn't about giving up. It's about leveling up. Training smarter. Choosing movements that still give you size and definition, without the silent joint damage. Because after 40, your success isn't just measured by how hard you train, but by how long you can keep training without breaking down. What you're about to see are 5 triceps exercises you need to stop doing, and the smarter alternatives that will help you keep growing, stay healthy, and avoid the kind of injuries that turn lifters into spectators. These swaps aren't compromises, they're upgrades. If this is already hitting close to home, hit that subscribe button, because what's coming next might just change the way you train forever. Dumbbell skull crushers. Dumbbell skull crushers are a classic, but after 40, they're a fast track to elbow pain. The movement forces your elbows into a highly vulnerable position, especially when the weight drops behind your head. If you've got any joint wear, and let's be real, most lifters over 40 do, this stress adds up fast. Even worse, as fatigue sets in, most people flare their elbows out to keep going. That shift ruins triceps engagement and dumps tension onto the tendons. Over time, that equals inflammation, tendinitis, and even long-term damage. Many guys also load up way too heavy, thinking more weight means more growth. But in this case, it just means more risk. Micro tears accumulate, and suddenly you're skipping arm day not by choice, but because you physically can't press. At this stage in the game, training smart beats training hard. And skull crushers? They're just not worth the trade-off. Let's move to the next one. And this one fools almost everyone. Pullover. Most people think of pullovers as a chest or lat exercise, but electromyography studies tell a different story. In reality, this movement activates the triceps even more than the chest or back. Sounds like a bonus, right? Not when you're over 40. The issue with pullovers isn't activation, it's mechanics. This movement places your arms in an extended overhead position, putting serious stress on both the shoulder capsule and the long head of the triceps. For younger lifters, that stretch under load might not be a problem. But once you're past 40, that exact position becomes a setup for tendinitis, rotator cuff strain, and even partial tendon tears. What makes pullovers dangerous is how deceptively smooth they feel. At first, the pain doesn't hit immediately. It builds silently. Micro-trauma accumulates over time, and by the time you feel it, the damage is already done. Add to that the tendency to arch the lower back for more range of motion. This shifts stress onto your lumbar spine, another weak point for aging lifters. What you end up with is a movement that overstretches the triceps, strains the shoulders, and destabilizes your posture. Pullovers might offer some triceps activation on paper, but in real life, they're a biomechanical trap. If longevity matters to you, there are far safer ways to train your arms without risking months of recovery. And speaking of risky moves, the next one might look impressive, but it's wrecking shoulders everywhere. Triceps dips. Triceps dips have a reputation. They're seen as the ultimate test of strength and grit in the gym. And while they do fire up the triceps impressively, they also load the shoulders in one of the worst ways possible, especially if you're over 40. The biggest issue is the joint position. When you dip down, especially with a slight forward lean, your shoulders are forced into internal rotation under load. That's a dangerous combo. Exactly the kind of stress that leads to rotator cuff impingements. And with age, your tendons aren't as elastic, your recovery slows down, and the margin for error shrinks. There's also the depth trap. Many guys dip way too low, thinking more range means more gains. But once your shoulders drop past a certain point, protection disappears. Every inch deeper just increases the odds of irritation, inflammation, or even tearing something that's already been hanging on by a thread. Let's not forget the social pressure. Dips look tough. They make you feel like you're crushing it. But when your body's sending warning signs and you keep pushing, that toughness turns into stubbornness, and injuries follow. The worst part? Triceps dips also hammer the distal portion of the triceps near the elbow, one of the most injury-prone spots for lifters over 40. The combo of shoulder stress and elbow overload makes this movement more trouble than it's worth. And if you think bodyweight movements are always safer, the next one might surprise you. Diamond push-ups. At first glance, diamond push-ups seem like the perfect no-equipment triceps solution. But after 40, they're a silent killer for your wrists, shoulders, and elbows, all in one compact, innocent-looking move. The problem starts with hand position. Placing your hands close together in a diamond forces your wrists into extreme extension and internal rotation. If your connective tissues have lost even a bit of elasticity, which they have, that stress goes straight into your joints. Over time, it can trigger or worsen conditions like carpal tunnel syndrome or tendinitis in the wrists. And it doesn't stop there. That same inward position rolls your shoulders forward, creating instability and loading the glenohumeral joint at an awkward angle. Studies show this position increases joint pressure by over 60% compared to regular push-ups. Not exactly joint-friendly, especially if you've had shoulder issues in the past. Form also tends to break down fast with this variation. Most people arch their lower back or raise their hips to compensate for the awkward arm position, shifting load into areas that aren't designed to carry it. What you end up with is poor activation, bad mechanics, and pain that creeps in over time. But the real danger? It's in the elbows. The tight angle during the lowering phase puts your elbow joint under immense stress, right where it's weakest after years of training. That ache you feel afterward? It's not soreness, it's wear and tear you can't afford. And the final exercise in this list? It's rare, it looks technical, but it's a trap for aging lifters. Scott triceps. It's not the most popular triceps movement, but once people discover it, they think they've found a hidden gem. The Scott triceps extension, performed on a preacher bench typically used for curls, looks unique, feels intense, and targets the arms differently. But after 40, it quickly reveals its flaws. This exercise demands a level of stabilization that most lifters simply can't maintain, especially with age. Your core, shoulders, and even abs end up working overtime just to keep your body in position. That shift in tension steals the focus away from your triceps and spreads it to support muscles, ones that weren't meant to take the load. But the bigger issue is the shoulder position. The preacher bench forces your shoulders into internal rotation and horizontal adduction at the same time. That creates a compression point inside the joint, one that's already vulnerable with age-related wear. If you've ever had shoulder tightness or clicking, this position is likely making it worse. Then there's the angle. The way your arm is positioned forces the distal triceps tendon, near the elbow, to work from a weak, overextended place. That dramatically increases the risk of inflammation or chronic tendinitis, especially after decades of training stress. Even the mind-muscle connection suffers. When your body is fighting to stay balanced, it's much harder to truly engage the triceps. And if the muscle isn't firing properly, what's the point of the exercise? Bottom line, the Scott triceps movement might seem like a smart variation, but it's a biomechanical mess for aging lifters. There are better, safer ways to hit the triceps with full control and zero compromise. Now that we've covered what to avoid, let's shift gears and look at the smarter swaps that will protect your joints and keep the gains coming. Safer, smarter alternatives start here. Before we move on, here's something important. If you've been doing some of the previous exercises for years with no pain, no discomfort, and solid results, you're probably in the clear. This list isn't about creating fear or throwing out everything that's been working for you. This is about helping those who are just getting started, returning from a break, or already feeling those small joint warnings, especially in the elbows or shoulders. Because once you hit 40, your margin for error shrinks, and what used to be just a little discomfort can turn into a serious setback fast. If you fall into one of those groups, or if you simply want to train for longevity, the smart move is to avoid high-risk exercises and go straight to the options that deliver gains and protect your body. So now, let's flip the script. You're about to see 5 triceps exercises that not only build muscle efficiently, but also keep your joints in the game for the long run. These are the moves that give you the size without the wear and tear. Let's get into them. Exercise 1. Cable overhead triceps. Extension. When it comes to building size without wrecking your elbows, this is the move. The cable overhead triceps extension keeps constant tension on the muscle while dramatically reducing joint stress, making it one of the smartest swaps for skull crushers, especially after 40. The key difference is in how the resistance is applied. With dumbbells, gravity pulls the weight straight down, forcing your elbows into a compromised position behind your head. But with cables, the resistance comes from a more forward angle, keeping the joint in a safer, more natural range of motion. Research from the University of Cincinnati found that this adjustment alone can reduce elbow joint stress by up to 65%. That's not a minor tweak. That's a game changer for anyone looking to train hard without paying the price in pain. To get the most out of it, stand facing away from the pulley, grip the rope or bar, and keep your elbows tight to your head. As you extend, focus on locking out with control, not momentum. Let the triceps do all the work, and avoid letting the elbows flare out, which shifts tension off the target. One of the hidden benefits of this variation is the constant tension throughout the full range of motion. Unlike dumbbells, which lose resistance at certain angles, cables keep the muscle firing from start to finish. helping you recruit more fibers and build more size safely. And the next exercise? It's not just joint-friendly, it's one of the most underrated triceps builders. Period. Exercise 2, cable triceps. Push down with rope. This one's a classic, and for good reason. The cable triceps push down with rope is not only one of the safest exercises you can do after 40, it's also one of the most effective at building size and definition across all 3 heads of the triceps. What sets this movement apart is the controlled instability of the rope. Unlike a straight bar, the rope forces each arm to work independently while still stabilizing the motion. That small adjustment enhances muscle engagement and reduces joint strain, especially in the wrists and elbows. Another major benefit is that this exercise trains the triceps in what's called active insufficiency, a state where the muscle is challenged at varying lengths throughout the movement. That means better fiber recruitment, better contraction, and better overall results without compromising your joints. To get it right, stand tall with your elbows glued to your sides. Think super glue. They don't move. Extend your arms fully while separating the rope at the bottom for an extra squeeze. Then return slowly, maintaining tension all the way up. Most people mess this up by letting their elbows drift forward or rushing the motion. Don't. The pushdown also allows you to scale the load easily and stay consistent with form, something most free weight movements struggle with after a certain age. And since it's a cable exercise, the resistance stays constant, maximizing the time under tension. Next up, a machine-based exercise that mimics dips without the wear and tear. Exercise 3. Seated triceps machine. If you've been avoiding dips because of shoulder or elbow pain, the seated triceps machine is your new best friend. It replicates the pressing motion of dips, but in a controlled, joint-safe way that allows you to focus on pure triceps engagement without the risk. The big win here is stability. With back support and guided movement, your body doesn't have to work overtime just to stay in position. That means less stress on the shoulders, less compensation from other muscles, and a better connection with the target muscle. The machine also eliminates the most dangerous aspect of dips: uncontrolled depth. You're no longer guessing how far to go down or relying on feel when fatigued. Instead, you control the entire range of motion from start to finish, keeping the pressure exactly where it should be, on the triceps, not your joints. To use it right, adjust the seat so your elbows line up with the machine's pivot point. That alignment matters. Grip the handles. Press down without locking your elbows, then return slowly and under control. Avoid letting the weight stack crash. If you're using momentum, you're not using muscle. Another plus? You can safely increase volume here. For older lifters, higher volume with moderate intensity is often more effective than low-rep heavy sets. And this machine lets you push that volume without risking technical breakdown or joint flare-ups. Up next is a barbell move most lifters skip, but it might be the missing link in your arm training. Exercise 4. Close grip bench press. Most people think of the bench press as a chest exercise, and it is. But change your grip, adjust your focus, and it becomes one of the most powerful triceps builders out there. The close grip bench press isn't just effective. It's one of the only proven ways to hit the distal head of the triceps, the part that gives your arms that horseshoe shape. What makes this variation ideal for lifters over 40 is the balance between load and control. Unlike push-ups or dips, you can fine-tune your hand placement and use a stable setup to reduce stress on the wrists and shoulders. That means heavy training without the hidden wear and tear. Here's the key. Your grip should be about shoulder width apart, closer than a regular bench press, but not so close that your wrists get crushed or your elbows flare. Lower the bar slowly to mid-chest. Keep your elbows tight to your body and drive up through your triceps. No bouncing, no chest press mechanics. This is all about controlled elbow extension. Many lifters make the mistake of turning this into a partial rep ego lift. Don't. Full range of motion, moderate weight, and perfect form will always beat half reps with overloaded bars, especially when joint longevity is the goal. And unlike most bodyweight triceps moves, the close grip bench press lets you progressively overload with precision. You control the path, the tempo, and the tension. Exactly what you need to keep growing without grinding your joints down. There's one final takeaway that ties everything together. And it's the real key to long-term progress. Exercise 5. Triceps. Kickbacks with cable. Simple, precise, underrated. The triceps cable kickback is one of the most joint-friendly movements you can add to your routine. And it's the perfect replacement for unstable setups like the Scott triceps extension. What makes kickback so effective, especially with cables, is the constant tension. Unlike dumbbells, where the resistance drops off at the top, the cable keeps your triceps working from the beginning of the rep to the very end. And when it comes to building definition and targeting that final contraction, nothing beats it. Execution is everything here. Grab the cable with a D handle, hinge forward at the hips, and lock your elbow in place. From there, extend your arm fully. Don't swing, don't jerk, just smooth, focused movement. Your elbow should stay fixed, like it's bolted to your ribs. That isolation is what makes this move shine. Another big win? Low joint stress. There's no awkward angle pulling on your shoulder or compressing your elbow. That means you can get a strong contraction without the usual risks that come with overhead or heavy pressing moves. Ideal for anyone training past 40. Use moderate weight, strict form, and focus on the squeeze. This isn't a power move. It's a precision move. And when done right, it builds that rear triceps thickness that gives your arm a complete, balanced look. With this final move, your new triceps game plan is complete. Strong on results, light on risk. If you've made it this far, one thing is clear. After 40, building strong arms is no longer just about intensity. It's about strategy. The exercises you choose can either build you up or break you down. And now, you've got the blueprint to stay on the right side of that line. The 5 exercises we replaced today weren't chosen at random. They were removed because they carry a high risk of long-term damage, especially in shoulders and elbows that have already seen years of wear. And the 5 that replaced them? They're not just safe alternatives. They're smart, effective, and proven to work, without the joint abuse. This isn't about training less. It's about training better. Because when you're over 40, consistency beats intensity. And the real flex? It's still being in the gym, healthy, strong, and making gains, while others are stuck in recovery. So now the question is, will you keep doing what you've always done? Or finally, train with your future in mind? What's the one thing you're changing in your training after this? If this video gave you at least one aha moment, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let's keep building this together. And if you want to stay in the game long-term, make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a strategy that keeps you strong, pain-free, and making real gains.